Grab your cup. How do you feel about change? When I say change, what's your initial response? Oh, I don't like change. Change makes me uncomfortable. I'm afraid of change. I don't like knowing what's coming and not knowing exactly what it is and being able to control it. Anything like that come to mind when I say, how do you feel about change? Think about this. When you look at all of nature and really all of life, the whole way it's designed is built around change. It is. If you live in an area where there's different seasons, you see the change from season to season to season, and it happens automatically. It happens naturally. It happens because it's supposed to happen. If you live in an area where there are no seasons, you can still see change. You see things like trees grow, drop their nuts or their acorns, whatever. Those things will grow. The first tree will die. So there's a natural order and a change even without different seasons. You can see a change in natural water, right? If you see rivers or streams, as that water keeps flowing, it changes the landscape. A change occurs. If something were to dry up that water, it would change yet again. So nature is based on forever changing. And we, as a part of nature, also need change over and over and over again. What do we need it for? We need it to grow. We need it to learn who we are. We need it to understand ourselves better. Imagine for a moment that nothing has ever changed in your life. You still live in the same house that you grew up in as a child. All of the people who were there are still there and will always be there. And you'll never leave that house. And you never change your job. You never change the activities that you do. You never change your interests. You never change anything. Where you go on vacation, what you choose to do, it's always the same. Imagine a full lifetime of that. Really, really imagine, like every single aspect of your life, there is no change from when you were little. That kind of life would be, first of all, really boring. Second of all, really unfulfilling. There would be no deeper understanding of yourself because you wouldn't need to. You wouldn't need to have to figure things out. You wouldn't need to have to acknowledge who you are. Who were you when that situation happened? Who are you now? You wouldn't need to look at any of that because it would just always be the same. It's kind of like the Stepford Wives, right? Remember that movie where they produced like robots so that they could have exactly what they wanted and there would be no change. One was just like the next, kind of like that. We think that no change is what we want. We think that it feels better to be in the familiar. And certainly familiar feels comforting, but it actually is really, really debilitating. It's really limiting. It's really like, to me, this has just popped into my head. To me, it's like, that concept of, used to be in the Chinese culture where they would bind the feet of the women so the feet wouldn't grow. And then they walked in a particular way that they thought was attractive and they valued. But it's like binding the feet and not allowing. If you resist change, you're like binding your life and you're not allowing for what's on the other side. And the way the human mind works is to be fearful of anything it has not yet experienced, because the way we work is to see something and map it onto a memory of the past. Oh, what have I already experienced that is like this? What does this remind me of? It's like your brain goes through this filing cabinet in your mind and finds things that are similar enough so you feel comfortable with it. If there's no folder in the filing cabinet that's a match for what's in front of you, then the brain's like, oh, I don't know how to interpret that. And that's where the fear comes in. But there's nothing inherently fearful about what's in front of you. There's nothing inherently dangerous about change. It's just that we don't have something to latch onto to interpret it. And so we feel out of our depth. But for people who actually embrace change, people who understand, as I accept and move through change, and the more often I do that over and over and over again, the more fulfilled I am in my life. The more I am willing to look around and have more and bigger experiences. And I always grow from them, and I always get something out of them, even if it's, nope, don't want that again. Even if it's that. Even if it's, oh, I handled that really badly. Even if it's, that relationship was terrible. But now I know going forward, I have a certain amount of information and a certain amount of knowledge of myself. So I get it. There are plenty of people in the world who are not interested in growing. They're really just interested in staying comfortable, staying exactly where they're at because it's familiar and safe. And they're not ever going to be the ones that you're going to feel inspired by. They're not ever going to be the ones that you look to emulate or you want to hear more stories about. They're just the people who are going through their life and really resisting any change and keeping themselves the smallest version of themselves. And that's fine. It's totally fine. We all get to do our life the way we want to. But if you are interested in becoming the best version of yourself and using this lifetime to figure out what that is and to experience yourself and your life as fully as you can and as connected to yourself, then change is something that you want to embrace. You want to really be open to as many changes as can come your way. So maybe it hasn't felt that way before, but even, if you have a business and you're looking to evolve your business, if you're in a relationship, how could you change the dynamics of the relationship to have it be more fulfilling for both of you? If you're not in a relationship, or you're in a relationship that you know isn't good, but you're staying because you're afraid of the change. The change is what's going to bring you the better fulfillment, the happiness, and the possibility of relating to someone else who's a great match for you, right? Change is the thing that makes life work, that makes life, all of life, nature, and our own experiences of life. It's the thing that makes it work. It's the thing that has us grow. It's the thing that brings the best fulfillment. So rethink your relationship with change. I would love to know what you think about that, how that lands for you, and if you were able to shift your thoughts a little bit about it, like, oh, I could get that. Or if you had an experience where you didn't want something to change, but it did anyway, because it will. And then when you got to the other side of it, you realized that change was exactly what your life needed, what your heart needed. That can really pertain to things like relationships. When they end, we don't want to change, we don't want to move on, we're afraid of it ending. But it might apply to a lot of things. So I would love to know that. Any of that, drop me a comment, let me know what you think. Have a good day.